Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to another one of my Cotswold walks, number 6 in the series. We're going to be following the River Coln today. I'm in a town called Fairford in the eastern part of Gloucestershire. We're about 8 miles to the east of Cirencester, that Roman town of Cirencester, which acts as a hub of all the roads around here, and about 10 miles to the west of Witney, which lies in Oxfordshire. Today we're going to follow across the Ernest Cook estate through the park there, making our way to the village of Quenington and making a circular trip round. I'll insert some maps of this as we go. Please bear in mind, if you do this walk, that it is closed on Tuesdays because it is a trust. There is also a school nearby, but today is a bank holiday. It's May Day bank holiday, so I don't need to worry about that here today. So why not join me for another walk on West Country Wanderings, Cotswold 6 here at Fairford. In the churchyard here at St Mary's in Fairford is this famous gravestone, and it's of Tiddles the cat. And Tiddles was the church cat, and sadly in 1980 he fell off the church roof, crawled up it and sadly died. But he lived 17 years, 1963 to 1980. I think that's something unique in an English churchyard. So this is Fairford Park. We're not actually going to start our track here because there isn't a permissive footpath here. That is the driveway that takes you down to the school. Of course, it's bank holiday, so it's not open today. We're going to go to a place called the Ox Pens. And as I say, it's not open on Tuesdays, and there is a permissive path that crosses Fairford Park because it's now owned by the Ernest Cook Trust, and I'll put a link that tells you all about that trust in the description below because it's very, very interesting. Behind me is Fairford Mills, actually mentioned in the Domesday Book, although the present building dates from the 17th century. It last ground corn in 1922, but it's wonderful here by the banks of the River Coln, just walking over the bridge now. Beautiful spot here at Fairford in Gloucestershire at the start of our walk. Now these are the ox pens, so called because this is where the cattle would be tied up as for part of the market. And you can actually make out tracks there where the oxen in those days, obviously, that's just a broad term because it could meant other cattle as well, of course. And I'm just looking at some fabulous red cattle in the field that's just immediately opposite of this Cotswold stone wall here. So this is the Ernest Cook Trust, and as it says, this path is not a public footpath in the legal sense, but you are allowed to walk it when this door behind me is open. Quite an unusual arrangement. Bank holiday Monday, it's not a Tuesday, so the door is open. So why not join me on this walk here? The first part of the walk actually follows the Fulham Brook, and then we'll also see join it with the River Coln. They run parallel to each other. Also looks like we have really ancient sluice gates here as well. Really interesting to see that, the cut right into the stone there, the local Cotswold limestone. So yeah, I'm enjoying this here. I was a bit concerned about today, because coming out filming on a bank holiday is always a bit difficult, trying to find somewhere quiet to film, but there are some people around, but it's not too bad. It's only probably a lot quieter than a lot of places are today on Bank Holiday Monday. Of course, there's a few things that Fairford is famous for. Most particularly, I mentioned this the other day when we're here, is the International Air Tattoo, of course, at RAF Fairford, which is just over that way. And of course, you probably won't know this if you don't follow my canal ones and more the walking ones, is that we'll be over there to do Kempsford, which lies just outside the perimeter fence of RAF Fairford. It's famous for that, and of course that's USAF, not Royal Air Force these days, but thankfully it seems quite quiet there today, so because it's bank holiday maybe they're not doing training exercises or the like with that at all. But the other thing it's famous for, because St Mary's Church, 15th century, and that is really, really good for its medieval stained glass windows, which were restored, I believe, in the 19th century. The name of the person that restored it escapes me. What I'm thinking of doing is including another video, perhaps a short bite, and I don't know yet. I'm going to see how the day goes. I haven't got a particular plan, which is unusual for me, I guess. I'm going to do a tour around the town of Fairford, including one of the walks alongside the River Coln as a separate video, and obviously the two together here. But I'll see. I can't make any promises. I'll see how we go here today. So just following this here along to Quenington, and we'll have a look around Quenington and then head back to Fairford to complete the walk here today. So walking alongside the Brook here, and the other side of the field is where the River Coln, so you have them in parallel, and there isn't public access to those fields there except on certain days, so this footpath is closed on Tuesdays. Those areas are only open on certain days, and again you'd need to check the Ernest Cook website for that. The third thing that Fairford is famous for, apart from the beautiful River Coln and the town itself, which hopefully more later in a separate video here, is that there is the Cotswold Water Park, which of course we've come across on the canal updates on the Thames and Severn and Stroud Water Canal updates. I'm trying to remember now, number 7, I think I did a bit of a feature on that. And there is a section of it, I think there's about 35 lakes just south of the town here, Fairford. And if I've got time, I'll see if I can go down there and have a look a bit of that as well. But like I say, I can't make any promise, just see how today goes really. So I'm just enjoying this amble here in beautiful Gloucestershire countryside on this day. Don't have the sun today, I'm afraid. We had sun on Saturday when I did Goodrich Castle. Yesterday, Sunday, was very, very wet. So I spent that editing, and today it's dry. Hopefully it's going to remain dry. I've got taking precautions just in case it isn't. And I'm just enjoying the fact I can hear the birds around me. So I'll let you experience that today. Now, evidence of a settlement at Fairford goes back to the 9th century, and it was granted a royal charter in the 12th century, and originally it had 3 mills, and obviously only the one remains, the one we saw today, Fairford Mill, just there by the banks of the River Coln. I would imagine that the other 2 were also next to the river, obviously to provide the water power for it. There is still a market here, I believe. I did go to it. I stayed in Fairford a few years ago now. Stayed in a farmhouse, or just a kind of B&B place. And there, I think it's on a Friday. I will check that for you and put that in the usual way. It's not a huge market, but it's just there in the small square where people can park their vehicles there. And it was a delightful little place, nice little atmosphere here. This is a much smaller Cotswold town compared to the likes of, it's even smaller than Northleach, a few miles to the north of here, and obviously it's a lot smaller than Cirencester, and it's a less hustling and bustly than even Lechlade, a few miles to the east of here, which I visited when I did the Canal 1 Canal update number 4 on the Thames and Severn. But it's a delightful place to have a wander around, and hopefully we'll be able to do that later. And it's somewhere that I've always seemed to be drawn back to. I've been here a few times previously, because it's not too far away from where I live in Gloucestershire, just about 20 or so miles, maybe a little bit more, but it's not too bad. There is the A417, which is the road, I can't remember where the 417 starts. Certainly know it connects to the M5 and goes up the air balloon, which I go on about, and then it kind of diverges away from the 419. It doesn't go down to Swindon, and it then carries on east towards Reading, passing through Goring, I believe. Goring and Streatley seems to ring a bell. I think it goes through Farringdon and other places in Oxfordshire. Names escape me at the moment, but it's a quieter road than obviously the 419, but there is a little bit of traffic that passes through, but you can find some peaceful bits away from it as well. Totally enjoying this. We had the open meadow at the start of the walk. Still got the Fulham Brook there. I can hear the Coln as well. Beautiful bird song around. Got this wonderful woodland now. Some bluebells around, and this is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. No one else around here at the moment. Really delightful spot. Just stopped there by a tree trunk that had fallen down. Had some water and fruit. It sat right next to that brook. Absolutely delightful spot. We're not far from Quenington now. Just walking through this woodland with the bluebells either side. Absolutely fabulous, stunning time of year to come on this walk. But if you want peace and quiet, then I guess any time of the year would be great, as long as it's not a Tuesday. Now just leaving the Ernest Cook estate, coming out of the wood as well. Our footpath continues down here to the right, and I believe Quenington is just over there in the valley, so it's not much further to go, but that woodland there, absolutely beautiful, and there wasn't a soul there to be seen. I think what tends to happen with that walk, people set off from Fairford perhaps for the first mile, and then they just turn back and head back to their cars in Fairford again. But they don't obviously continue on to Quenington, and I think you'll find that a beautiful village as well. And to complete the loop, which is probably a shame, but it's to my advantage because it makes this walk nice, peaceful and tranquil. If you haven't seen my other video on the River Coln, the Cotswold walk, is it 3? Can't remember. I'll drop it in below. Just to let you know, the River Coln, if you're not familiar with this part of the world, is probably one of the most famous Cotswold rivers. We've covered a few other. A particular note was the Evenlode, of course, when we were around Kingham, that part of Oxfordshire, Leadington, that area. And this one, the River Coln, it rises just outside the village of Chedworth. That's the place famous for its Roman villa, and again, that's somewhere we will visit on this channel at some point. I've got so many projects lined up. It's just like when I did the castle, people have been saying, which is great. Are you going to visit Berkeley Castle? Are you going to do Kenilworth and Corfe Castle in Dorset? Well, yes, I'd like to do all of those and more. But obviously, there's so many days and so many hours in the day, and logistics of getting to them and all those type of things. Hopefully I will. At some point cover all of those, because they're all interesting places. And I think somebody mentioned about some of the ones in Wales. Well, Wales isn't actually in the area that I cover on my channel. If you're new to my channel, basically I cover the wider West Country, so that is Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, Dorset, Gloucestershire, and then I also go into Herefordshire, Worcestershire and the southern part of Warwickshire. So Kenilworth probably on the borders of that, so because I think it goes a little bit more into the northern part of Warwickshire, but I'll make an exception because it's a fantastic castle. But so that's the area that I cover. But River Coln, it rises just, it's about 10-15 miles to the northwest, would it be? Northwest of here. And then it makes its way through the middle of the Cotswolds, I guess. So my arm's aching, so I've just swapped over. Middle of the Cotswolds, and then it goes on to the Thames. I can't remember the name of the place where it meets the River Thames. I'll look that up and put that in below as well. I'm just meeting up with the River Coln again. There's the River Coln floodplain over there. In case you heard a whirring noise on that little clip there, not sure if that came out on the audio or not. There is a gentleman there fly fishing on the River Coln there, and I guess he had of his well, I'm sure, have a special permit to do that along the Ernest Cook estate. I don't really know much about fishing, I've never really done it, so I'm not sure if anybody lives around this part of the world or used to live around this part of the world. Can it expand on what sort of fish you would find in the River Coln and what sort of fish you would find here? Be really interested to do that. In terms of Wales, I said I don't cover Wales. The exception to that, of course, is the Severn Way when I do, because obviously that starts in Wales. It's the only exception I'll make. There are some excellent fellow YouTubers that provide content, and I also follow them and they follow me, so I don't really want to encroach onto their territory, if you like. So I've got a big enough region to cover as it is. And obviously I don't cover, there's other people that cover the West Country. Southwest Sundays, Louise, she does a brilliant job, particularly for Somerset and North and East Devon. She's just put up a new one up about Watersmeet, Lynmouth. That's a wonderful walk. Haven't seen that, would highly recommend that video. And I say there are some brilliant YouTubers that do cover Devon, and I'll drop those in as a subtitle. Should be coming up, scrolling across the screen roundabout now. And they provide some excellent content, particularly to do, well, all of it. The castles, the beaches, the villages, the towns, all of it. There's some brilliant content out there, so that's the reason I don't cover that. But I've got nothing against Wales. I think it's a fabulous country. It's just obviously the logistics of travelling further away as well, so obviously I'm trying to concentrate more on the area that I live and the areas that I go to, because where my family lives as well. So now we've met up with the River Coln again. It's to my right here, just behind me on the screen. Good to see that again. Obviously it's a bit flatter here. We've just entered this little copse. It's not a true woodland. Bit of the bank has just given way there. Sorry if that lighting went a bit weird there, because it suddenly went bright because I'm coming out of the woodland tunnel. I need to change the settings in a second. But yeah, it's good to see that again. And now we're coming out of this little copse. This is newer. There are a few bluebells here, not as extensive as the beech woodland that we saw earlier in the video. Now we go across this water meadow here, or the edge of the water meadow should I say, and then we'll be entering Quenington. And then we'll have to do a tour of Quenington. I probably won't do talking pieces to the camera on the route back because it probably won't be so interesting. I'm not sure whether I'm going to retrace my steps or go back the roadway, but what I will do is have my other camera or a different lens on the camera and then take some shots and add that in as well, and then I'll do the sequence at Fairford later. Now I would imagine that this part of the wall would get a bit damp and squelchy during the winter months and early spring months. Remember I had that trouble when I did the Evenlow trip and fell over twice. No such trouble today. In fact, there's cracks in the ground here. We have had very little rain over the past, well, about 6 weeks really. And it's looking almost like drought conditions where you'd expect this to be a bit damp and boggy here. Obviously because of the river and the fact that it's a very low-lying land when it does rain. Yeah, you'd expect it to be a little bit damp. I was prepared with my boots on, but no, it's not. It's really dry, but it's still a very pleasant spot here by the banks of the River Coln in Gloucestershire. Now, I can't say I can pick a favourite of the 6 walks of the Cotswold I've done so far, and hopefully there'll be many, many more in this series. I've been enjoying making them. I think the reason I enjoy making them is I don't come with any set agenda. I let the walk dictate the video and I just react to the things that are around me, whereas the other ones I make, like the canals and railways, there's obviously lots of research and doing pieces to camera. With this, more relaxed, just doing the walk and see how we go. Now this water wheel behind me is a rare survivor. In the Domesday Book it was mentioned that Quenington had 2 mills, the last of which closed in 1969. This was made by W. Savoury and Sons in Gloucester in 1879, and it was moved to this location following the closure of the mill in 69 here and by the banks of the Coln in 1989. Sadly, both of those mills no longer exist, but what a fabulous survivor here by the banks of the River Coln here at Quenington in Gloucestershire. Now from the banks of the River Coln here and the edge of Quenington in Gloucestershire, it's the end of the Cotswold walk number 6 today, which was following the River Coln up from Fairford. I'm going to make my way back to the town of Fairford, just 2.5 miles down that way, and then I'm going to make another video going around the town there, which will upload in the next day or two. If you like this, please consider a subscribe, like, a share, particularly a comment, as I said, if you've done walks in your local area and what you particularly like about them. Until next time on West Country Wanderings, I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Take care of yourselves. All the best. Cheers now. Goodbye.